Good morning. Welcome into Monday Mornings with Murph. Hope you're having a great day, a great Monday morning. Hope you've had a good week. I really appreciate all the prayers and responses I got from last Monday's show that I was going to the funeral, and the funeral went very well. And just appreciate your prayers and holding me up in prayer. And I appreciate that. And some things we had conversations at the funeral with several people, and then again throughout the week, and something kept occurring to me, and so I kind of was reading about it and thinking about it, and I said, that's what I'm going to talk about today. And we're going to talk today about not being a stumbling block to your brother. And we're going to read today out of the book of Romans. The book of Romans is written by Paul. Paul was not one of the disciples. He actually wrote this book about 30 years after Christ was crucified. And if you know the story of Paul, he actually persecuted Christians and killed Christians. And he was on the other side of Christianity for a while until he had a meeting with Jesus on the road to Damascus, and it revolutionized his life. He was a very learned man. He studied under the best and knew the scriptures, knew the laws, knew everything, but then his eyes were open on the road to Damascus, and he became one of the great apostles in the Christian faith and wrote a big portion of the New Testament. And this book of Romans, he's writing to the believers in Rome, and he's in Judea at the time writing this. It would be like me being in Marino and writing to somebody in Denver. So he's in a small section of Rome's territory, Judea, and he's writing to Rome, to the capital, and he's writing to the Christians there. And we're going to read in Romans 14 and 13 today is going to be our scripture, and my encouragement for you today and my challenge for you today. We're going to read this out of the Amplified Bible, and the Amplified Bible is the same as the King James. It just expounds a little bit on what is being said. And so Romans 14:13 says, "Let us not criticize one another anymore." That statement in itself can preach right there. Let us not criticize each other anymore, but rather determine this, not to put an obstacle or a stumbling block or a source of temptation in another believer's way. So that's what we're going to talk about a little bit here. And what impressed me in the scripture and what I was thinking about as I was talking to some people is Paul's not just saying here in the scripture that we need to love one another, but he's giving us some practical application on how to treat others. So here's my encouragement to you, my challenge to you for this week, is don't put stumbling blocks in other people's way or temptations. And what I mean by that, the people around you that are close to you, you know what pushes their buttons. And you know what can cause them to have a reaction of anger or being upset. And what Paul's saying here is if you know somebody has a problem with something, I'm just a simple illustration, very simple. If you know that somebody has a personality that they like to be on time when going to events, whether that's church or to a program or to the movies or wherever. They like to be just a little early or be on time. And you are not so worried about being on time. And you look and you think, well, if we're a little late, what does it matter? Well, to you it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't concern you. But the person that you're going with, you know that it does concern them. And you know that it's going to cause a reaction in them of being upset that you're late. And you could say, well, they need to get over it. Well, that's possibly true. Maybe that's something they need to work on, and maybe they do need to get over it. But would it not just be easier in following the Scripture and following the love of Christ to not put them in that situation and put that stumbling block there that they may fall, that they may not choose the right reaction, that they may get upset? Just something to think about this week. Try not to put stumbling blocks in people's way, but think in other ways in how to help them not stumble, how to help them get through this life in an easier path. Well, until then, you guys have a great week. Don't forget, if you need prayer, I love to pray with people and pray for people. 970-466-4663, or you can email me, michael@problemsolvergroup.com. Until then, have a great week. Have a blessed week. God bless you.